Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Better Call Saul Season 5. We're on Episode 7. It is called JMM. And again, we're moving the story forward in this episode. Things are starting to happen. Doorways are open that are showing us kind of where the last bit of this story is headed. But also giving us maybe some clues as to where it's all going to end up in the end. This is a lot of stuff going on in this episode. I would consider this to be maybe the second best episode of the year. So we get to talk about what a lot of people have been talking about in the comments section, which was how many marriages had Jimmy had? Well, we knew of 2. All right, but there was a lot of speculation going on in the chat about whether Kim was like this, if she was the second marriage. But here we see in this episode, they already talk about that he had 2 marriages previously, already disillusioned, right? So she's the third. Have we ever even heard of a third wife? And if this is like something that's not been put on, Breaking Bad, if he never talked about a third wife, which I don't think he did, but you guys are great. You'll tell me. You'll tell me. I love that I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan, but somebody will still find something that they can tell me if I'm wrong about, because I'm not going to look it up. I'm busy. Is it possible that after all is said and done, they're still married throughout Breaking Bad? She's just on paper, all right, not like married, like they consider themselves married. But if there's a piece of paper out there that still says that they are, could that have something to do with what will happen at the end of the series? If Kim is still out there, could Jimmy still somehow interact with her? I think that's what a lot of people are hoping happens, is that Kim plays a part in the end, and I think that makes probably the most cathartic kind of sense, going full circle all the way back to, how we start here in Better Call Saul, go through all the events that happened in Breaking Bad, and then to end up all the way back at the beginning with Kim and Jimmy being at the end of it. I think that's a really good theory. I think that's a very high chance of what will happen by the end of this show. Also, speaking, I forgot to mention this because I've been trying to put the, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff at the beginning of videos, because a lot of people don't make it to the end. So please, if you like the stuff here we do, it's one of those mornings. Please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, blah, blah, blah. Also, if you aren't new to the channel, what did you think of the new intro that I did? Funny story, the last intro that I've been using for about 9 months or so, maybe longer, I deleted it on accident. I was trying to clean up some files. I was in one of those modes where I'm doing something else. I'm multitasking as usual, and I boop boop gone. And when I went to find it, I realized that it had been purged. So I went and designed. Well, I took a bunch of stuff that I'd found on a place and created this new intro for my own. I'm sure that there are plenty of people that have some of these designs that are similar, but I hope you guys like the new intro. I needed something. I had to whip something up together quick, so there we are. Anyway, back into the episode. So, I do like their discussion, though. It's so clinical. This is not how they would have wanted to get married, of course. Who would? Whose dream is it to just do this? Unless, I feel like getting married in front of a judge, I don't know. I know people still do it, right? And especially probably in big cities where they're just like, man, let's just do this. But it just feels like such an out-of-date thing to do. And it makes me think of like really old movies where it says like, hey, let's just get in front of the judge, see? but most people who think of their marriages, you have that image of what you want your marriage to be, and when they talk about it as like an arrangement, they're still kissing, they're still together, but they know that a regular ass marriage is pretty much not on the table anymore. This is the best that they can hope for as far as the relationship goes, I think. And even when they're doing their vows, you can see it, I think, in their eyes. I think the actors both convey this like sense of this is how our marriage is, but kind of imagining what their real marriage could have looked like if they hadn't gone down the roads that they're on. I think that they could have or would have had a standardized marriage if they hadn't made the choices that they made. I think they would have ended up together anyway, just more traditionally. But now it's just this business arrangement that is tentative really on like how bad something gets, because he brings up, what if I tell you something that I don't want to tell you and I tell you anyway, because we're doing full disclosure that works both ways. If you don't like what you hear, we'll cross that bridge. And I mean, we immediately have that tested to the extreme in this episode. So anyway, oh yeah, she has no middle name. I like that was an interesting tidbit, but also how they did it, where it's just the judge noticing it and being like, and her kind of like thinking that was just an odd moment. It's a very subtle little joke, little haha chuckle that you can have in the middle of the scene, but it goes by so fast that you might have missed it. But I know that there's some eagle eyes out there that catch everything. So like I said, they were both imagining getting married, but under better circumstances, realizing that this is it. What it comes to. And then we get the intro that he needs to take care of this guy named Jorge de Guzman, who turns out to be Lalo Salamanca. And he's throwing in a not guilty plea through all these charges. The next scene is one of the best scenes in the episode. It's Kim Goes Back. It's the Kim Goes Back scene to me, where she sits there and they do this kind of apology to the big rich banker. We take full responsibility. We throw ourselves on the mercy of your power, Kevin, the great Kevin. Talking about best day of her life, worst day of her life, professional life anyway. And then, he barely acknowledges anything. And then tells her that she can do better than Jimmy McGill. And then they leave. And I don't know if it was the McGill crack at the end that made her walk back. I'm kind of thinking it was. I kind of think that she's, she takes that personally, that people keep thinking that Jimmy's nothing, even though she's troubled by what he does as well. But when she makes that turn to go back and tell him flat out, look, you're the one who fucked up. You're the big rich guy who doesn't listen to his lawyers, and now this is where we end up. And she throws it all out there at Kevin, kind of like what mirrors a little bit what Jimmy does at the end to Howard. Except in hers, it's like when she throws all this stuff at him, Kevin just basically does the same thing he did with them before when she first left, which was it barely matters to him. He just, is that it? See you Thursday. Like, he's such a big, powerful man in a way that he doesn't care what you think about him. He may be subtly under the surface thinking, wow, that's ballsy and, she's right, but I'm not going to say it. But at the same time, it's also, I think, a big part of it is just, I'm a big, powerful, swinging dick. I don't have to fucking listen to anybody. All I have to say is as much as I want to, or as little as I want to. So, see you Thursday. We see how Howard and Jimmy's argument, or Jimmy's lash out, Jimmy's comeback at Howard as he's walking away is done and seen and played differently. Um, I love that though. And this is not a relationship. Her standing up to him. So Lalo and Jimmy meet in jail, and it's the JMM. You know, it's his initials. But when Lalo asks what does it mean, he says justice matters most. I like that he held back on his own personal information. Not that this guy couldn't find out anyway, but he's not going to make it any easier for Lalo to get into his life. So it's pretty smart to just change it to, oh, it just means justice matters most. Although Lalo would rather it say, just make money. That's what the cartel is, like, represents for Jimmy, is that final, there's no going back. I've chosen to just abandon the law and abandon what's right just to make money. Which is kind of what ends up happening to Saul Goodman. You know, is it becomes all about just making money and staying one step above away from the law. And this is just kind of that one more little, not really nudge, because Jimmy's pushing back pretty hard, as much as he's allowed to at this point. Um, Mike, meanwhile, is becomes Zen. He's done a complete turnaround after the episode with him hanging out at Gustavo's little memorial for his friend. He's back in good graces with the daughter-in-law and the granddaughter, and he wants to make sure that she understands that he's better now, that he's going to play the cards he was dealt, which is basically, I am what I am. I'm going to try not to get so frustrated about Maddie. I'm a bad person. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to come home here and I'm not going to take it out on them, I think is what he's saying. This is the Mike, basically, that we see throughout the rest of the series, I think. I don't think there's going to be too many more, like, big old moral hurdles for Mike, except for maybe the stuff with Nacho, which is coming up. So, Jimmy and Kim have to have that conversation where they're getting down. And at first I was like, man, I don't really need this scene of them getting it on, because it's like, I don't know, but I do like that it's played to, in the middle of this very intimate moment. He tells her what he didn't want to tell her, which was that his new client is Lalo Salamanca. He's a cartel guy. They say, if I take care of this, I'm a friend of the cartel. Do you want to be a friend of the cartel? And of course he doesn't, but there's like that slight hesitation of, well, it means money. Boom, right there. Just like they said, just make money. And it's almost like why he didn't tell her was maybe because she would know it's about the money. If I tell her, she's going to see right through me and realize, you know, that I am leaning towards that. But he's also fighting that urge to just not throw in and try to hold on to what little bit of justice he actually feels is still inside him, like what we see at the end when he actually goes to court. Now, through a phone that Eduardo, I'm going to call him Eduardo because I'm sick of calling him Lalo. Eduardo Salamanca gets a phone from the outside, from Nacho, to burn down, he tells Nacho to burn down Los Pollos Hermanos. Nacho wants out. He's trying to tell Mike this, but Mike says, like, if this is what he can do inside prison, then he's not out of the picture yet. We can't talk about saving your father yet. So we get the meeting, which is another Breaking Bad big time Easter egg here, of Madrigal Enterprises, you know, the conglomerate, that their Houston division. And at the Houston division at this moment, there's a bunch of restaurants talking about their profits all together in this consortium. It's very weird as they kind of all share their ideas and plans and things like that. And at the head of the table, besides Lydia being there, it's the guy named Peter, the German uh, higher up in Madrigal that in Breaking Bad was seen tasting all the different new kinds of ketchups and sauces that was dipping him in the fries, and then later, spoilers for Breaking Bad, commits suicide through a heart, like it's like a what is it, a portable heart resuscitator, like the plungers. He kills himself like that, and this is a a younger version, a more happier person, someone who hasn't decided to just off himself in the middle of the day because the feds are coming to talk to you, the DEA and stuff. So it's also a nice touch that they give him another fry to eat and dip into the ketchup. That was really on the nose, but it was still really cool. But they, this is where Gustavo tries to explain to them what's going on, why they can't just go and restart building the underground lab because of what's going on with Salamaca's. There's a really weird moment where he's out of focus and he's looking at the table where they had the champagne, and it's almost like the stain. There was like it had dripped and spilled. It was a really weird moment. I don't know quite what that means. Of just we're seeing, because the way he kind of puts himself in that chair was very. So I don't know. I feel like there's something weird going on with Gus in this moment. I'm not sure how much it means or how much I should read into it, but they wouldn't put that shot in there if it didn't mean something. I'm sure that's another thing you guys could tell me about. So now everybody wants Salamanca out of jail. Not just Salamanca himself, but Gus needs him out. And so when they trash one of his own restaurants, they blow it the fuck up. And then Jimmy goes to court for Salamanca and just has to lay it out that with witness tampering and the state not having evidence and the whole family that he's got back there and how he's been mistreated, it gets him released on $7 million bond. And Jimmy has to look at the people that he hurt, that he knows this guy hurt. And, he murdered people. And that's why they have that great shot of the dual faces against the side of the building there, the inside of the building, where you can see two sides of Jimmy's face. It's a little bit of a heavy-handed metaphor, but it's fine. It's cool. It's a cool shot. Showing just how much further he's still willing to go to, maintain what he's become. Howard and Jimmy then. The Howard and Jimmy moment at the end where Howard basically lays it out for him. I know what you did. The bowling balls, the prostitutes. I know I've upset you. The offer's off the table. And so Howard starts this conversation nicely. How are you? Have you thought about the offer? And when Jimmy kind of just, blows him off, stalling him off, right? Howard just says, I know what this is about. I know what you did. And then we also hear from Jimmy, who straight up says, you killed my brother. So that takes, this is truth, I think. I think that, but it's also partially not taking responsibility for his part and wanting to put it all on Howard by saying, you killed my brother. I think he's almost saying it back to himself, but he's using Howard as that punching bag, the person that he can keep blaming for how Chuck ended up killing himself. And Howard's the easy target. And Howard tries to walk away, and the more he spews venom at him, it gets to where he calls himself a god in human form. And I shoot lightning bolts out of my fingertips. It was an amazing job by Bob Odenkirk. But I feel like this was mostly him raging at himself and just using Howard as a sounding board. Because there's desperation in his eyes to yell this out. This wasn't just venting at Howard, to relieve some sort of psychological torment that he's under. It was more of his only way of expressing his own grief and anger at himself for what he allowed the road to go down, the road that he was going down that ended up taking Chuck's life. And that's the end of the episode. It's a really great, powerful way to stop and end it. This show just keeps getting better, and I don't really have any more to say because when you get done with that scene, it's just like, whew, fade to black, no more. And again, the way that they handle both these kind of conflicts, the one with Kim, one with Jimmy, it's so masterful without feeling forced. Like a lot of shows have things happening to multiple characters that have similar situations going on, but they're always so telegraphed. They always feel so cliche, and Better Call Saul's writers are able to take that cliche and always do something very fucking unique with it. Now, I'm still not going to say that Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad because I still feel like they're totally, completely different animals, just about similar types of people. But like I also say, they're both part of the same universe, so I feel like they're one and the same, and like calling them one better than the other is like, I just can't do it. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, we will be back next week with episode 8. I can't wait. I have not even watched the promo for it. So in the end, if you like it, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, yada yada yada. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. We'll be back next week for another Better Call Saul. Bye.